All right, testing this live stream here. I haven't done it with the camera, and this battery might not last very long, but we're in Forza here, and what I did was I built a replica of my S15 RC Drift Car. So I figured I would try out a live stream, test it out, and see if we can't drift it. So let's see what we can do here, see if this works out or not, because I gotta test out this equipment, see if it works or not. So I'm just going to load it up on my phone so I can double check things and get the chat going. This is the first time I've used OBS besides the previous stream. So all new here, I'm learning. Let me know in the chat if the audio is bad or terrible or can't hear anything or see anything, but I'm going to try to keep this camera rolling. I have another battery on the charger, and then I got the S15 up here on the screen, and we will drift it. I'll kind of go over the settings, the tune, stuff like that, and then if you guys have any questions on either RC drift cars or sim drifting and setup, let me know. A little background, I've done Forza, the previous edition of Forza Motorsport. I drifted a lot, spent a lot of time drifting in that, and that's when I was real world drifting and I was competing. So a lot of the stuff I've learned from real drift cars has transferred over to sim drifting and RC car drifting. But I kind of whipped up a quick livery on here and threw it on to the S15, and we'll go get some slides. So I am playing on the old controller here. Oh, nice! You built a your daily in Forza. Nice. Trust me, if they had a F30 BMW, I would have that. They have the M4, but my daily, I wish they had. I used to daily an E36. I also used to daily an E46. And I had all those built. My Pro-Am drift car was an E36 with a V8, and yeah, I had all those cars in the sim. So I thought it'd be fun to do one of the RC car, kind of a unobtainable car for me to get. But yeah, we got the S15 here, so I'll go ahead and get into a drift lobby and see how it feels, and yeah, see if it slides and if we need to tune it, anything like that. But audio sounds good. That's good to hear. Thanks for tuning in. Wasn't sure if this one would get any viewers or if you guys like the Forza stuff. It's kind of what I do after work when I'm bored. So I'll go drift in Forza. And now they just recently released this drift update for Forza Motorsport. I think this is Motorsport 7 now. So it's not really like, they're just kind of open meetup lobbies, and the point system's a little funky, but it's still fun. You get to slide around with a bunch of people in some open lobbies. And of course we're going to Bathurst, which probably isn't going to be the best drift track, so we'll see how it works. I did fix the audio in my headphones, because in the previous stream I couldn't hear the game, so I was drifting silently, and that made it really difficult to like hear what the car was doing. But now I can hear the game in my headphones, and I think that should make drifting a little easier. All right, we'll get the S15 here. So I think I put an RB 26 in this car. It's got, well, let's go over it real quick. I may need to change some stuff. So yeah, basically the RB 26, 2.6 liter inline 6 twin turbo. Basically everything's upgraded. Tire size, so 255s. Let's go 265. 295 should be fine in the rear. That doesn't sound optimal. Sound is key. What doesn't sound optimal is there something wrong with the mic? Oh. Huh. Alright. See if this works. If not, change it up. Oh yeah, this car is gripped up. Yeah, not being able to hear the car in the headphone definitely was a little difficult. Much better now. I can hear what the car is doing. Never drifted Bathurst, so raced it, but see if we can figure a line out. This part will be hard. Did all right. Not great, but see if we can clean it up on the next lap. A little overcooked. A little better on that line. See if we can link the top part. Probably not. Nope. Yeah, it's probably not the best track for drifting. This is a lot of long straightaways, a lot of tight corners. But maybe we'll try to find a different track here. Car feels pretty good though. Give it one more big whip entry here. Fifth gear is a little gripped up. Barely hung on to that. Alright, a little better on the third lap. Got somebody trying to grab our door. Big whip. hard. Alright. Sorry. Try to find a different track, something that flows a little better. S15 seems smoother than the BMW. Yeah, I think that last BMW, I just put a quick tune on it. I didn't spend enough time setting it up, so it was probably gripped up and had too much power. Let's exit this one. Try to find another one. Nice car control, thank you. Yes. Something I try to. Since I like drifted real cars, like in my brain, I try to think of it like if I were actually in the car. Even though sim, you can do whatever you want. But I like to replicate driving a good line because that's how you drift. That's how drifting works. Both RC cars, real cars, and sim cars. It's about like taking the good line, finding a good line, and that will smoothen out the driving. And then, especially with a lot of these tracks I've raced, done sim racing and stuff on them, so I have an idea of like how the corners are. And all the time I see people just blow through corners and blow off corners. And one thing that I think of in my head is like, that corner's going to be there every lap. So if you learn the corner, you learn, like, if the corner's banked, you're going to have a lot more grip going into it. If it's off camber, you're going to have a lot less grip. Depending on how tight it is, what gear you need to be in to pull out of it smoothly. Sometimes if you're in too high of a gear, not enough RPM, and you get back on throttle, the car's just going to loop and spin. Sometimes I'll use downshifting to slow the car down, and then I'll also use angle of the car to slow the car down. That's something you do in a real drift car, is you toss more angle into it to essentially slow the car up, and then you use use the right pedal to pull you out of it. So this S15 also, I didn't check the shocks on it. We can see what the springs are at, but it might be set up a little softer. Let's check the tune. So 30 psi in the front, 28 psi in the rear. So gearing's on a 363, and fifth felt a little tall, so I can bring fifth down a little. Fourth gear might have been just a little grippy. Third felt good. We could even pull third out. Alignment, negative 4.7 degrees, negative 0.3, so less negative camber in this car than the BMW. 0.2 degrees toe out. Negative 0.3 degrees toe in on the rear. Anti-roll. Set those up. These are all pretty similar across all the cars. Slam it all the way down. So springs 600 inch-pounds in the rear, 700 in the 720 in the front. Dampening. Usually depends if I want the car to slide more, I'll add more damping and more spring. And it did feel pretty grippy, so you could turn the bump stiffness up maybe, but I like having a really gripped up car. Helps me feel more in control. Save that. And let's see where we at here. I didn't even see the track. Uh-oh, poor network. That's not good. Grand Oak. This course, I've never drifted here, but I've raced here. This might have some good flowy lines. This hairpin coming up. Fifth is still pretty gripped up. Overcook that a little bit. Sorry, was looking at the chat. Ever drive from the driver's seat view? Yeah, it's tough. I have a wheel and pedals, and I'll race in that configuration, but drifting is so hard because it doesn't have the field of view, and I feel like VR might make that a little better so you can turn your head and see, because like if I'm drifting like this, I can't see the rest of the track as well. You kind of have an idea, but it's not as smooth. I guess it kind of turns a little, but it's hard. I think a big key in drifting is like being able to look in front of you. Comes from a mountain bike days, but you always want to look like 30 or 40 feet in front of you, and then you kind of assume what's coming. So like here, I'm already looking at past the exit of the corner, and then down the straight. And so here I know I'll need to set up on the left side, let it drift to the right, and then come back in. So in-car view is a little hard. You don't have like good field of view, I guess, for what's coming up on track. If I'm racing, I'll definitely do in-car or on the hood view, because it helps with like brake points where you need to brake to slow the car down. I'll try to link a lap up here. So I know this corner is pretty tight coming up. So I'll slow the car up with the e-brake, downshift, get back on throttle on the exit, whip it back up the hill, light on the throttle, then hammer it for the exit, upshift, downshift, let the car settle, get back on it. Extend this one all the way out, make that one corner, full throttle on the exit, let her bounce. RBs love to eat on the limiter. Basically any turbo motor, drifting, bouncing it off the limiter is what it's all about, because got to keep those RPMs up. Let that one go slow up a little too much. Came out too far to link that. Have to whip it back. Should have extended that second manji a little further. quick manji to whip it back. See, it was a little early there. A little early there. Whip it back, slow the car up. Yeah, fifth. Fifth is gripped up. Whoops. Yeah, I've tried wheel setup. I have one. One sec, I'll show you. Well, I just can't drift as good with a wheel setup. I can race fine, but drifting's kind of hard with wheel and tire unless I had like a full dedicated rig. I'm just sitting here at my desk, and it makes it's for me it's hard, not in the right position. And then the biggest problem I've had with a wheel and pedal setup is like I was used to a real car, and I think going from a real drift car to a sim setup is more difficult because you don't have the input forces on your body from the seat, so you can't feel what the car's doing. And that's why people who start in sim drifting and then go to real drift cars are much better than real drifters who go to a sim setup, because sim drivers kind of know what the car's going to do physically, like by how their tune and stuff set up on the sim, and then they can hop in a real car and just whip it around and they'll get used to the forces on their body, where coming from real cars to sims really hard for me because especially with a wheel and pedals, is because you don't have those forces. Like I can't feel the engine and I can't feel when the car is breaking loose on a sim, so it's made it difficult to drift, where I can kind of relate what I do on the sticks on the controller to real world setup a little more easier. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but then I wanted to show you this. So here is the real car, and then here's the one I built. So of course they don't have the same shapes and stuff, and I didn't put the same wheels just because I love these work wheels, but it's a similar setup. The fade's a little off, probably could do better, but yeah, the RC Drift Car on the sim. Thought so. That was kind of the point of this video. I just wanted to kind of get those two together on screen. I thought that'd be cool. All right, so let's see, maybe we'll try to follow somebody. Looks like there's a big train that just went out, and I'll wait a lap for them. Yeah, it's cool that they put the angle in. Looks like we got some muscle cars out here today. Maybe we're with some Aussie boys. E46. New Edge Mustang, maybe? Or is that S15? Hop up here so I can see the train coming, and then try to hop in with them. I'm glad you like the driving commentary. It's the first time I've done it besides that previous video I did earlier in the week. I'm just trying to get this stream set up. It took me a while to figure out how to get this camera going, but I got a capture card. I got a mic. Here's a little train. Try to hop in with these guys. They want to go? No? This guy? Oh. Got out of the way, nice. Sometimes these sim drifters don't manji the whole track, and then I do, and I mess them up, so I feel bad, but looks like they jumped in behind me. I was a little early there again. Track voting, so they're going to vote for another track. See what gets picked up. Would they do the same track again? Oh no. Hockenheim. This one has some areas, but it's also a little difficult to link full corners, but we can get it done. Fun track on the race car. See what we can do here. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the CLSD. That's what I run in my drift car. I've been trying to think of a video to make about diffs, but there's just, maybe it's just me, but it's a hard one to make a video about because everyone's setups are so different, and then everyone likes their car to feel a certain way. And like the conclusions I'm coming to are like, if you want a quick, snappy car, then you just use a diff, or you just use a spool. But if you want to be able to control the car in the corner, then you want an open diff, either the CLSD or a gear diff. Never a ball diff. Ball diffs always come loose and they're not consistent. Where a gear diff, you can tune it with the different viscosity oil and they're great. Or you just get a CLSD and run it dry, and you always have it the same consistency, but it's given me the most control with the RC car for drifting. And I run the 8 gears and the hard springs, so it's very open, but you can lock it up with RPM, and it's some that I've just learned to drive with it, so I don't think I'd ever use anything else. I took my rookie drift out the other night, and it's got a gear diff with some thick oil, and the thing was so snappy. Like, it sat at angle really nice, and it was really fast, but it doesn't have the predictability that I have with CLSD, and I'm sure I could put a lighter oil in it, make it a little more predictable. And I just don't have enough seat time with the rookie drift on our polished concrete track. It's just so snappy, and I kind of like being able to float. Like, it's hard to explain, but like when you sit behind somebody, I'm driving it very like lightly, if that makes sense. I'm not on the trigger very hard. I'm kind of like mimicking what they do. So with the CLSD, I can corner a lot easier, and I don't need to be using throttle to like keep up. But yeah, CLSD, highly recommended. I've also am only driving on polished concrete, so it may be different for people driving on P-tile or carpet tracks. But I know everyone has their opinions, so some people love it, some people hate it. I'm a big fan of it. What's this guy doing? Not drifting, just getting in everyone's line. Oh, look at that, top of the leaderboard like that. Probably going to be beat really quick, but long e-brake pull there. A little wide. Oh yeah, Odie coming in hot. Guy on throttle, on the brakes. Oops, sorry, I was looking at the chat. Let's see, answer some questions. I haven't used the lightweight one, but I don't see why it'd be any different. It's the same internal gears, just probably a little lighter. RD2 diff, nice. Yeah, Odie was banging a little hard there. Let's see if we can link it back up here. Get back in the flow. a little short. Long e-brake. It's like extending some of these corners. You just got to get a few laps to figure out when to transition, where to transition. Like this one's pretty quick. This corner is also banked, so sometimes sitting a little higher. But if you want to come out of it and link the next corner, you got to stay wide here. You can link that. Quick transition back, but carry it wide. Then you're able to carry this next one wide all the way back to the front straight. Add some angle to slow it up, get back on it. See, I could have carried that wider out to the rumble strip. And then this is an awkward length. It's like one manji, two back, whip it back. Out to the rumbles. All the way across the track here. Maybe another quick one before this entry. Long e-brake to set it and whip it in. Downshift. Stay on throttle, look to the exit. And shift back up to carry this one out. And then manji this long back straight. Ooh, almost a little too much there. And then into the hairpin. Mess that up. Short again. Whip that one a little hard. I don't still drift in real life. It just got way too expensive, especially after I did the V8 swap in my E36. I was spending like $2,500 a weekend, and you know, I should have kept it as a kind of grassroots car instead of going full pro-am car. But of course, when you're like in that lifestyle, the only thing you want to do is make more power and go compete at a higher level. And it kind of like almost bankrupted me at that point, just because I tried to work with a few sponsors, but the sponsors that I had were more for like body parts, and they weren't really monetary sponsors, so they were like giving me parts instead of helping. Like I had a tire sponsor who's a tire distributor, and they were basically giving us tires at cost, but still after your car's making like 300 or 400 wheel, you need to buy better tires, bigger tires. And I'd get deals on Volinos to run Volinos on the front, And then I think I was running like Westlake's or Ironman's on the rear to keep it budget conscious, but you're still paying nearly $100 a tire. And after 400 wheel, you're maybe getting like 4 laps out of a set of tires, especially like in a tandem comp. So if you're kind of going through like 6 sets of tires in a comp, and that's, can start adding up quite significantly. And I think some of my buddies and I were even broke it down to like how much the car cost per second. And when my car still had the stock motor in it and I had nitrous, I think I was running like, it was like 30 cents a second or 50 cents a second. And you're doing 30-second runs. So taking all that and adding it up it becomes a significant amount of money. And then when it became a Pro-Am car, it almost became $5 a second to run that car and operate it. So you got to add up all the costs, like the fuel you're going through, the amount of tire you're going through, the fuel for the truck, borrowing a trailer or having to buy a trailer to get the car to the track. It really adds up. And here in Colorado, like, we have a great drifting community, and Drift Colorado runs a bunch of events, and they're all over the state. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had in a car in my life, but the cost kind of kicked me out of it. But then when I was getting out of it, I had actually just met my now wife, and I had just finished the V8 swap. So I did one Pro-Am comp, and I put her in the car, and we had a blast. Got a ripper around our oval track here at full tilt. But she also saw me almost burn to death when the first few laps after my swap won out, and the breathers choked up on the car or something. So there was so much oil pressure in the car that it shot the breather lines off and then filled the footwell with oil and then ignited on the hot headers. So I pulled back into the pit with flames like shooting out of the car. And once we fixed that problem, it was fine. I was able to take her out for a ride. But once you get to a point in your life where there's things start to become more important than race cars. So I still have a Harley that is kind of my fun, go get the adrenaline pumping car. And then my daily, I just have a 335 F30 that is more than fast enough for the street. And then when I need to go get my blood pumping, I hop on the Harley, and I kind of want to go drift the Harley. So got a new rear tire and some stuff I'm doing on it. It's just a little Sportster, but I kind of want to go get it sideways. It's super light, super flickable, and I see these guys drifting Harleys and stuff, and it looks like so much fun. Especially, like, I used to ride dirt bikes, and then I raced mountain bikes, and I still go out and pedal around on the mountain bike here and there. But yeah, the drift car just kind of got too expensive. So the thing my wife and I talk about is once I get a house, like once we buy a house and get out of a apartment, we're gonna buy a project car, and probably go take it drifting. But something fun, maybe some old school. I'd love to get another E36 or an E46, put an LS in it and go drift. So thinking of like affordable ways to maybe keep it more grassroots, and we can just go out to the local grassroots events instead of trying to go get my Pro-Am license, which at that point you really need somebody funding the whole thing, because you're spending almost $3,000 a weekend to go slide a car. And while it's a lot of fun, $3,000 can get you pretty far, with rent or trying to buy a house or investing money somewhere else. So it would be cool. Some of my buddies run the Colorado Drift School, so I think maybe we'll go take out like a school car sometime, and then I'll make a video for the channel, and we'll go get back in the driver's seat. But if you guys want to see some of my drifting videos, you can go over to my other channel. It's The Campaign. And I got motorcycle stuff on there. I got my old drifting videos and stuff we used to do with drift cars, but it was a lot of fun. And I had a whole channel just on like the build of the drift car, doing the engine swap. My first E36 was my daily driver for a long time, and I bought it as like a really clapped out automatic. Did a 5-speed swap, then I did the motor swap. I put nitrous on the stock motor and blew it up at an event. Welded the diff, did subframe, suspension, built my own like brake master, hydro, basically all the drifting stuff. I did like DIY knuckle mods, all that stuff. E46 arms on an E36. But I have all those videos on my other channel. It's the campaign. If you guys have any interest in seeing like my IRL drifting experiences. But then I had a buddy who I drifted in real life with kind of get me hooked on RC drift cars, and the cost of entry was much more attractive at that point in time, where you could spend maybe like $1,500 and get a full setup and go drifting. And then I really got hooked, especially kind of scratches that same itch that the real drift cars got me. So that's how I started RC drifting like 4.5 years ago, and ever since then I haven't been able to stop. It's been so much fun. Yeah, $3K is a mortgage payment. Yeah, absolutely. So, you could slide your car for a weekend, or you can pay your mortgage for a month. Yeah, it's an old channel. Actually, I'll see if I can link it here in the comments. Looks like my battery died. Let's see if I got this other battery. And actually, since maybe this stream is, let's see. I think I can load it up on the stream. Let's try and do that. Let me get this battery. Alright, sorry, had to change that battery. So, let's exit here. This will give me some more testing with the stream, because I want to see if I can bring up my screen on the stream. Okay, so we got black screen. Let me add. You can add browser. Oh wait, maybe that's not what I want. I'll just add display. Okay, that's gonna look crazy for a sec. Let's see if this loads up. Alright, so here's my old channel. There's definitely some adult content on here. Here was my E36 on the last wrap I did on it. So I had worked at a wrap shop for 7 years, and this was like a team design, and we all had different colors. Even though I still think drift teams are silly, it's very much an individual car sport. But I love this car. This was basically put my heart and soul into this thing. And then my dad races vintage cars, so he let me use one of his motors. And then when I sold the car, I pulled the motor out and sold it as a shell, but it had a full cage, hydro, brake system, suspension. And I sold it for a killer deal for what these things are worth nowadays. Lots of my wraps. I even have one where Chelsea Denofa did a driving school, and this one's kind of funny because I was having trouble on this corner entering and spinning the car out every time. So Denofa was like, hey, you mind if I hop in? I'm like, go ahead, hop in, tell me what's wrong. So there's a cool little shot in here where Denofa takes me out for a lap in my own car, and we spin out in the same spot where I was spinning for the first like 3 entries. And we're like spinning out backwards, going backwards, and he looks at me and he's like, your front tires are rubbing. And sure enough, we went and changed the front tires. I had these really fat track slicks, thinking it was going to give me a bunch of grip. And like you can see, this was 7 years ago. But it was just really funny because we're literally spinning out backwards, and he goes, your front tires are rubbing. And this was still when it had the stock motor. But this might be, let me fast forward. So he's like, can I hop in? And I'm like, yeah, hop in, tell me what's wrong. So he warms the tires up. And it's pretty cool to have, now an FD champion who taught me how to drift. But it's also one of those skills I'll never forget. It's like right here, we start spinning out, and he goes, your front tires are spinning. Or your front tires are rubbing. So we went back to the pit, made a change. Car didn't spin out for the rest of the day. So Chelsea Denofa is a master at E36s, and I was definitely really fortunate to kind of do one of his original drift schools back in the day. But yeah, he literally taught me a lot of the stuff that I did. And we had a little go-kart track we'd go drift at. This was when one of my eBay coilovers snapped on a 60-mile-an-hour entry. Yeah, so here's the entry right here. And my coilover snapped on the wheel right there. Spun me out. I tried to drive the car and then noticed it started hopping. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. So I got out and look at the front wheel when I get out of the car. This is kind of hilarious. Yeah, that's not supposed to be like that. Luckily, I had a buddy there with a trailer who was able to trailer it home, because this is back when I would drive my car to the track. So, kind of funny. Sat in the field for the rest of the event until we could get the trailer over there. Let's see, I had an E46 daily. Like that car. Yeah, these are all old videos from the wrap shop, wraps. Hanging out with buddies back when it was a street car. Doing the 5-speed swap, doing the exhaust. I mean, I had a bunch of videos, not very many subscribers, but, hacking up a street car. Stuff when we used to do snowboard movies, go out in the backcountry with snowmobiles. After hours drift shop. But yeah, a bunch of car stuff I'd do with my dad. We'd go to the vintage races. Went to, Pikes Peak a few times. Made some knives. Flew some drones. Tried some vlogs. The vintage racing stuff was always fun. There's some supercar stuff. I even had an old Subaru back in the day. Used to make ski videos and snowboard videos. That's kind of where I got my video stuff from. Shot the Conan seg that was in Fast and the Furious. Painting my dad's race car. All sorts of stuff. Really, really old. You know, stuff's 9, 10 years old. Did some dragster videos. Had a buddy that painted custom motorcycles. Yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. One did the Lucas Off-Road Racing Series for a summer. One filmed for a couple teams. Yeah, but the budget build. So when I first got the car, it look at my hair, it was really long. Huge snowstorm out here. Do I do any aquarium cleaning videos? I don't do aquarium cleaning videos. I have a couple aquariums, but I just suck the water out and put new water in. Freshwater tanks are pretty easy. But yeah, this car was a piece of junk when I got it. But I traded a 96 Pathfinder for a 96 328 10 years ago. Kind of cool to see this stuff. I haven't seen any of this stuff in a long time. But yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun times. And then the first RC car video, let's see, 3 years ago, I had a TRX4 Sport. Take it out crawling. Harley video. I had a Grom. That's where I got my license on. Did a bunch of stuff on that. I had a little supermoto bike. That thing was fun. Yeah, I made some extravagant, wild stuff. Probably not appropriate for YouTube. But there's a bunch of drift videos on here of IRL drifting if you guys had any interest there. Oh, she likes the tanks in the background. Yeah, unfortunately, a bunch of our fish, like, we've had guppies for years and years and years, and they just reproduce and breed, but they all got sick and died. And let's see. So the camera's still on. This streaming stuff's all new to me, so figuring it out. But yeah, all the fish died. So now we just have Corys. We call them cows because they look like they're grazing in the field. And now I changed the studio up, so I have a little corner with the RC cars over here and lighting, and working on upping my production value this year and trying to make things a little better. So look at that, 69 views. So I'm getting used to this OBS software. It probably looks crazy on your screens right now. But I'm glad that this test stream went so well. I'm not sure if it tells me how long I recorded here. But yeah, I think that's probably going to do it for now. Unless you guys have any other questions or want to see anything else. But yeah, well, probably going to end it unless you guys have any other questions. I'm not sure if this looks okay, so I can minimize that and not see it. Yeah, so I got a drift diff video, kind of working on that. So trying to come up with some ideas, but I got some screenshots of differentials so I can explain kind of what they do. That's stuff I'm gonna work on this week. And then you know, look out for the shorts. I've been trying to do like daily shorts of some of the stuff I do with the RC drift cars. And yeah, but I'm glad you guys like the Hangout Live. I'll probably try and do some more of these, I don't know, bi-weekly, something like that. And start dialing the setup in a little more, maybe do a little RC car tuning if I change stuff on the car, I'll probably go live so I can show everybody else. Yep, 8 springs dry. Or yeah, 8 springs, 8 gears on the CLSD. That's how I run it. I'll show you. This is very much an open diff. Spins very freely. And then when the spur spins, they both spin in the same direction. So I'm thinking of ways to do an explanation and kind of show some real world experience with the differentials and what different differentials do for your driving. So keep a lookout on that. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I will catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.